But we were so close to the end, and I really want to talk about, I have 6 pages of notes, and I really want to talk about analysis and stuff. So I didn't want us to not finish, especially now that I have my internet back. So for both of you, thank you so much for your patience and working with me as the technical difficulties were hellacious. But yeah, so we are still here. We are, yeah, I'm an absolutely competent adult until a certain Onakindness leader shows up, and then I may lose my cool a bit. Wait till we hit Caleb in that interrogation scene. But the look, long awaited revelry is going to be a moment when we get to it, especially that opening. I am the professional simp of this duo over here in Love and Chick Space, and I earned my title honestly, very honestly. So the interrogation in that is hot. Okay, let's continue. I'm half afraid that the cold and Comcast are gonna screw me again, so I want to make sure that we get to the end of this chapter, and then I want to talk analysis. We are going to analyze, because I want to talk about, we're going to get into some Greek etymology, we're going to get into some color theory with red and blue, we're going to discuss, I'm going to add some religious context into here. So I have an English degree, kids. I went to school, I went into debt for that son of a bitch. I'm going to use it to analyze video games. So let's get to the end. We are so close to the end of chapter 8, and then we can dive into my 6 pages of notes that I put together for this, because there's a lot. There's actually a lot to unpack here. Right, Xavier, we are in the flower shop with Jeremiah. We're putting together our false identity. That's where the internet died. Also, it died right at the point where Xavier is once again being a jealous little puppy and being mean to Jeremiah, who didn't do anything to deserve it. Like, come on, Xavier. Come on, get it together. Okay, here we go. You bringing me here wasn't a spur of the moment decision. You knew for a while that I'd be going to the N109 zone. You already had a plan to help me sneak in, right? How did you meet a friend who knows how to make fake identities? He's also very cooperative. And since he helped me, that means he could have helped you. It's funny how the more a person talks about something, the more real it seems. An idea starts to form in the back of my mind. I stare at him, searching for clues from his expression.
I'm just a normal deep space hunter.
He's selling it, isn't it? Don't you believe him, don't you guys? Like, that was so believable. I'm convinced. That's all I needed. We're good. Just a hunter? I walk up to Xavier and take the small spray bottle from his hand. I hold it up to his forehead like I'm aiming a gun at point-blank range. I know we aren't exactly close, but can you repeat what you just said? You're not looking me in the eye.
You're too close.
He gently touches my forehead to push me away.
Also, you're not scary. At least not scary enough.
What do you mean?
You're being very polite. You won't be able to take control of the situation. Anyone who's made a name for themselves in the N109 zone can't be a pushover.
He gets up from his chair. I find myself stepping back and leaning against the edge of the table.
As the next leader of a crime syndicate, you should at least act tough. Don't let anyone easily spot your weaknesses. Otherwise, you might end up as a lamb at an auction, swarming with wolves. You'll be killed in the blink of an eye.
A sharp blade of grass pokes my chin.
The arrogant ones always like to look down on people.
I can't help but chuckle. I lift my head in response. And?
Your shoulders are stiff. Being too awkward will only make you look suspicious. Relax, but try to maintain.
Got it. Anything else?
Don't say thank you, and don't apologize. The last thing you want is hesitation or doubt in your voice. Remember, you're always right.
What if someone tries to challenge me? Or what if they doubt me?
Return the favor.
Like this? I push Xavier's shoulder, but he only takes a step back. I move closer, maintaining eye contact with my chin. By the way, my neck is starting to hurt because of how you're standing. Can you adjust your position?
Are you mixing personal feelings with business?
Of course not. As you said, whatever I do is correct.
All right.
Xavier sits back down, but he tightly grips my wrist and pulls. I'm in front of him.
One more thing. It's very important. Don't provoke people who have yet to show you their hand.
The atmosphere becomes heavy, my gut telling me that I'm in danger. Yet the only thing I can do is look into his eyes. He's seated, yet at this moment, the person standing isn't necessarily the one who has the upper hand.
I'm done. Do you think this is enough?
Jeremiah walks in. His gaze sweeps over us, not even lingering for a second. Then he quickly turns around and leaves.
Whoops, sorry. I entered the wrong room.
Come back.
Stellar guidance.
Here's the family crest. Pretty cool, right? Wear it, and anyone who's in the know will see you're important.
It also means whoever approaches you isn't a random person wanting to have a chat. Be careful.
I study the crest in my hand. While intricately designed, there's an antique charm to it, showing that it's the handiwork of a crime syndicate. The fact Jeremiah could produce this in such a short amount of time, he's more than meets the eye.
And here's the stuff that can make your fake identity more convincing. I hope you won't need to use them.
Jeremiah hands me another box. Thank you.
You don't need to be so formal. I never thought I'd actually be able to help you. It's so...
The intensity of his sincerity is touching, even though I've only known him for a few hours. My curiosity only grows. Silently, Xavier positions himself between Jeremiah and me.
As you can see, he's very friendly.
I look at everything in my hands again. The sun is about to rise. I should get going. Shall we head back home, neighbor?
I have plans today.
I nod. I'll be on my way then.
Wait.
I hold my breath and soon feel a faint, prickling sensation from my earlobe, like a gentle jab that's gone in an instant.
It's a secret transmitter. Even if you're somewhere in the N109 zone with no signal, we can still track your location.
I touch my ear but don't find a trace of it. A tiny capsule is placed into my hand.
An inhibitor. Take it before you meet up with anyone. You'll be temporarily immune to 98.7% of neurotoxins. And here.
He slips a very thin, hairpin-like item into my sleeve. I raise my arm and squint before I see a needle with liquid inside it. What is this?
Self-defense. It's not too strong. Just enough to take down an elephant.
Huh?
If you ever run into danger, don't hesitate.
Do you have a magic pocket or something? Where did all this stuff... My vision is then overwhelmed by a bluish-purple hue. Is this also a secret weapon?
It's flowers.
Of course I know it is. But why are you giving it to me?
Do I need a reason?
Aww, Xavier. He lowers his head. He appears to actually be thinking.
They just happen to blossom. So, I sincerely hope you'll accept them.
The girl's figure fades into the dawn. The lights in the greenhouse dim like a fire on the verge of being extinguished.
It's flawed.
So, were you able to stay calm when you saw her for the first time? We're just letting her go into the N109 zone? Are you okay with that?
It will be safer compared to Lincoln City in a few days.
And we can use that time to take care of the stuff lurking in the shadows. But I need to ask, do you really not care about our non-intervention principle anymore?
Some already stopped caring about it.
Otherwise, the explosion at her home wouldn't have happened, and the truth that's been hidden for so many years wouldn't have started to emerge.
Do you know how long we've been here? All those faces in the backtrackers, I can't remember them. Don't you have the feeling that people's memories of us are also becoming fuzzier? Especially in recent years. I agree that sticking to the non-intervention principle is pointless, especially for us whose presence here was always a mistake. And mistakes are bound to be corrected sooner or later. Maybe we're slowly being erased as we speak.
Just like a planet that strayed away from orbit, only to be ripped apart by gravity.
How's Traceback 2?
It can send out simple signals, but the positioning system still needs some work. Is there really someone on the other side of the Deepspace tunnel who can respond to us?
You will return in one piece. I'll make sure of it.
Having Evol doesn't make you invincible. And you're... This isn't Phylos. And we... you know, aren't truly immortal. Our kind, I mean.
Not every planet in the deep space shines, or rather, they don't shine forever. Piercing through a veil of light, dying celestial bodies are nothing more than skeletal, ashen rock with ring-shaped mountains. Cosmic dust coalesces into asteroids, their surfaces adorned with algae that couldn't be considered a sign of life. A faint glimmer of light gradually emerges in the distance and spreads out from the horizon. The morning light manifests on one side, and on the other is the beginning of a misty night. Okay, a couple things in that moment. I'm going to try and keep this a little vague because I don't want to spoil King. But it is interesting how we've added to the Bloom Shore incident by now possibly implying that the backtrackers were involved in the explosion. Now, that means we have two viable theories as the game is presenting them. We know more for those of us who have made it all the way to the end of the story, but the way the narrative is being set up now, there are two culprits being presented. We have Anakinus as being connected to the explosion, and the protocore and the aether core. And now we have Xavier and Jeremiah implying that the forces that they're involved with might be behind the explosion in terms of violating the non-intervention principle. And we are already seeing schisms. They're already discussing schisms within their group itself. So remember how we earlier had Xavier killing the dude in the alley that's talking about Isaiah. We've got Jeremiah. We've got the group happening. Now, this might be the first inkling of a breadcrumb leading to Soren, which we will meet Soren and deal with Soren later. But this might be the first hint about Soren. And I think that's vague enough where it's not too spoilery. But as we continue forward in the main story, we're going to see how these two particular plots and groups intersect and then diverge again. You're not forgetting who Soren is. I'm trying to bridge the gap between you, who hasn't finished the new stuff, and then a few of the other people who have made it in the update chapters. So Soren isn't too much of a spoiler. It's just a name, and it's related to backtrackers. And that's as far as I'm gonna go, because again, King, I don't want to spoil too much of the story for you, at least the more recent chapters of the story. And then, as I said, definitely go do the Lightseeker myth so that you can fully understand what's happening here with Jeremiah and with Xavier and MC. There's a huge chunk you're missing here. So definitely, when you have a moment, it's a good story. As I said, a ton of lore. Definitely do the Lightseeker myth once you've got the moment. So, okay, we're coming to the end of chapter 8. We've got two more little bits here, and then we can really start discussing some of the themes and threads that we're seeing here in this Under Deepspace arc. So let's get into deep.
Perhaps they don't want anyone else to get their hands on it, as they try to obtain one for themselves. Or there are ether cores already in their possession.
That's why they're selling a high-grade protocore at the auction. It will go to the highest bidder. Laws don't exist in the N109 zone, but knowing the right people can come in handy. If your reputation is good enough, even the ones who want to mess with you will think twice.
I've confirmed the location of the Aether Core, and I have a fake identity that can keep me alive. Now I need to figure out how to get into the N109 zone.
Why not come up with a master plan? Become the best bait for Anakinus. Maybe a small opening is all it will take to get them to expose themselves.
As you can see, we're now seeing the three paths between the love interests come together and converge to push us forward into the next arc. Each one had a piece, a key to get her forward. I resolved I pick up my phone and dial Rafayel's number.
Hello?
Are you free right now?
Why?
Meet me at the nest. Show me how to fish.
Weren't we supposed to meet up at 11? Where's Rafayel? It's hunting day. There are more people here than last night. Hopefully everything will go according to plan.
Ultra-dangerous protocols, nothing illegal. And lots more in stock. Are you interested, miss? Haven't seen you before. I'll give you a discount. One Narcissus, and you've got yourself a deal.
Where did you get them? Why don't we start with...
Don't you think it's a little weird to do business with newcomers?
If I'm the newcomer, then you must be the veteran?
You're today's shining star. The little secrets I carry aren't worth the trouble. Got your bait ready?
Yeah, I'll play their game and let myself be taken into the N109 zone.
Which means we need to cast the line. Should be easy enough. Here.
What's this?
Write your bargaining chip on it. Waiter.
Who's he going to tell?
Doesn't matter. If they're interested, they're in.
Now we wait for the fish to bite. How long?
Not long. The nest lives up to its name, you know. It's an underground intelligence network that's known to match supply and demand. Even normal info would have passed through 3 layers by now.
And what's this?
It's part of the process. Drink it, and you officially have a deal.
It's black.
Think about it first. A black glass means you'll pay a high price. If it doesn't go smoothly, you'll be the payment instead.
Being the payment is better than staying in the same place and doing nothing.
Since you've made up your mind, I won't stop you. I hope you find the answers you seek.
So is it just me, or is anyone else hearing Caleb screaming his head off? If he knew what she was doing, he would be losing his shit. Just, he would be just no. He would be putting she would be back in an attic. He wouldn't even let her get near it. Wouldn't remotely let her get near it at all. Okay, here we go. Final moment of chapter 8, everybody. You ready? Here we go.
So far, everything looks normal. Gloomy hair.
Because that bounty poster doesn't look suspicious at all. Doesn't look even remotely like anyone we know. Nope, the haircut's totally different. All of it. Just, I wonder who it could be. Oh, King, you know I'm ready.
I guess it's to be expected. So many people are after him.
Ugh,
Hey,
move aside.
you...
It's about to start.
Wait, It's probably better if I stay low-key. More people are here. They're surprisingly calm.
There's a price to pay when a wish is granted. Will you be the hunter or the hunted tonight?
It's starting.
Hunting day will now commence.
It's that eye again. Is it here for me?
Let's
No,
welcome
something's
the
off.
hunting
I should hide for now.
moment as it begins. Now.
There she is.
This is the prey.
It's coming. It worked.
C003 neurotoxin. If you're smart, you won't move.
The more enticing the bait, the more dangerous things can get. Most are clueless to it.
Now's not the time to celebrate. The big fish we want hasn't fallen for it yet. Did you bring the stuff I requested?
You're fine with handing over a fresh catch just like that?
Do you really think they can handle the prey I caught?
Traceback 2 will reach the edge of the Deepspace tunnel's umbra within 1 day. Our journey through the Deepspace tunnel begins. Destination is in the Orion arm of the Milky Way, once the home of humanity, Earth. Activating course correction engine. The final countdown has been initiated.
When Alpha PO-159's light shines through the deep space tunnel, illuminating Lincoln Tower's pinnacle. The closest we've been to it in the last 4.6 billion years. This galaxy's name is derived from the old word philo. It's the most exquisite gem in deep space. Philos. Humanity remains shackled to time. Fortunately, there are other lives in this boundless, starry sea. Tonight's weather, clear sky with winds around 7 miles an hour. Everything is serene inside the deep space tunnel. Good night, Lincoln City. May you rest in the Milky Way's embrace, drifting in long and happy dreams.
And that is the end of chapter 8. And that is Bad Suit Everman. And will forever be Bad Suit Everman. I don't care what anybody else says. That is what he was named. That is what he shall be. Yes, King, the painting. I told you the painting was going to come back into play, and here we are finally. The painting is back in play. But yes, so when we were discussing in chapter 7, Rafayel having that moment where it looks like he's letting MC drown, and then this moment here, it all kind of bled into this "can we trust Rafayel" vibe. And overall for me, it very much reads in, especially in this scene, his confidence in her abilities. It's almost arrogant, really. Do you think they could handle the prey that I caught? Like, he is so cocky about her in regards to what other people can do to her. At least that's the front he's presenting, is the confidence in her ability to handle herself. Traceback 2 is the name of Xavier's ship. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so there's a lot happening here, and it's absolutely important to kind of connect the dots. We started the Under Deep Space arc, which is the first 8 chapters, with Traceback 2, and we've ended the arc back with Traceback 2, but also that human radio DJ, which we will mention. So, a couple of things. Before we as I said, before we end the stream, I wanted to get into some analysis here before we, to kind of prep us in going forward next week with long-awaited Revelry and Sylus's introduction and the plot moving forward there, because there's definitely something we need to talk about here. So I want to slow us down, because this last image we just saw, Raphael's painting, is one of those moments where the game stops explaining itself and assumes we're paying attention. And the reason I want to talk about it now is this arc was framed very deliberately from the beginning. The Under Deepspace arc opens, as I said, with Traceback 2. And not a character we're emotionally attached to, not a romance, not a conflict. We start with a ship talking about movement, about time, and retracing paths, about going back instead of forward. Right out the gate, the language is cyclical. We're not progressing, we're looping. We're on a journey and it doesn't end, it repeats. And then at the end of the arc here, we get another non-character voice, but this time it's not the ship, it's that radio DJ broadcasting very casually, almost flippant, talking about the deep space tunnel, naming the galaxy Philos, calling it a gem, and then dropping that line that absolutely isn't casual at all about humanity remains shackled to time. That's not background noise, that's a thesis statement. That is absolutely a thesis statement. So this arc begins with time, as we discussed, as an experience, looping, retracting, and ends with time as a condition. And right in the middle of that ending, the story highlights a word, and it's very much wants us to notice, right? Philos. We need to start with Philos. Now, Philos isn't just a sci-fi name. The game tells us explicitly it's an old word, and it is. For those playing the home game, philo is Greek, and it means love. But not the kind of love people usually default to. It's not eros. Don't mix it up with eros. Eros is desire, passion, want, the kind of love that pulls you towards something because it feels overwhelming or intoxicating or urgent. Eros is hot, it's unstable. Eros wants something now, it's immediate. Philo is different. Philo is affection, it's attachment, it's chosen care, it's the love that develops slowly and then stays. Loyalty, familiarity, responsibility. Philo is the love that says, I'm bound to you. Not because it feels good in the moment, but because history and care have made it so. So Eros wants, Philo commits. And that distinction matters enormously when the story names an entire galaxy after this concept, as well as makes it the homeworld for several of these characters. They could have named the galaxy after light or stars or gods or conquest or time itself, but they named it after the feeling of attachment. So in saying that, the ones that are most explicitly tied to Philos in this game are MC and Xavier and Sylus, right? We've established that. Yes, Philo is family love. You're right on track, Ms. Philo is family love. So in having these characters connected to and coming from Philos, what I think the writers are getting at, what Infold is getting at here, narratively speaking, is that these characters are not agents of desire or transcendence. They're anchors. They are people who form bonds that do not dissolve when circumstances demand it. They stay when leaving would make the universe so much simpler. So the arc opens with "We are trapped in time," and it closes with "Humanity remains shackled to time." And sitting inside that bracket is a galaxy named after love that stays. That's not subtle. That's the emotional and philosophical space that we're going to be standing in, especially as we cut to Raphael's completed painting at the end, right there. Now, I told you I was going to get into color theory. And yes, there are a lot of Greek words, and agape is definitely one of them. So I hope you all have your academic hats on, because I'm going to start diving into some things here. I first want to start with color theory, and Raphael's painting is the catalyst for this. Because that painting in the story is switching languages. Up until now, the story has been communicated very much through dialogue and exposition. But the painting removed words entirely. It's not explained. The game doesn't caption it. It just shows us this painting, this transition from that blue painting to that swath of red that suddenly encompasses it. So it just shows us the painting and trusts us to sit with it. And we saw the blue at the beginning of the arc. Now we're seeing the red entering the frame. That's not random color choice. This is a story saying everything we've been talking about has now converged. So let's talk color. And like I did last time when I discussed time, I'm going to frame this in both Western and Eastern symbolism. I think it's important that we look at both and understand both, because this is a mixed audience. I myself am of a Western tradition. I am based in America, but the writers are Eastern, so it's important that we look and compare and contrast what's happening. So let's start broad. Let's just start broad. Let's start from the top. Let's talk blue. So across cultures, blue is actually one of the most stable symbolic colors we have. In Western storytelling, blue tends to signal calm, emotional restraint, control, sometimes sadness, but it's a contained sadness. In Eastern tradition, blue is tied more strongly to water and depth and memory and endurance and vastness, and that really is so on the nose for Raphael, but we'll get there. Those sound different, but the point is they're both pointing to the same thing. Blue is about duration. It's about what lasts. Blue is what survives time. But red is where things split. And by the way, guys, absolutely put questions. I've got Twitch open. I've got YouTube open. Drop questions. I will try my best to answer this. If you need me to explain something again or go through it. But so red is where things split, culturally speaking. In Western symbolism, red is very charged and morally unstable, right? It's power and danger at the same time. It's, symbolically, blood, violence, sex, lust, temptation, passion. Even when red is attractive, it feels very risky in Western culture and Western symbolism. Red is the color that says something is going to happen and it might hurt. That's the translation. Yes, Nikki, we are absolutely talking sex, drugs, and rock and roll. In many but in many Eastern traditions, red means the opposite. Red is connected to life force. Oh, hey, hey, Myth. ACU, hi. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Red is life force. It's connected to the concepts of protection and marriage, devotion, fate. Fate is a big one. The red string of fate. For those who have engaged in watching Eastern media, Asian media, I should say, in Asian media, you know about the red string of fate. That is a theme, that is a symbol that is woven throughout their folklore, their myths, their cultural understanding. So the red string, for those playing the home game who might not know though, the red string of fate, it binds people together across lifetimes. Yeah, it's a huge trope there. So red isn't associated with corruption in Asian media. Its meaning, it's what gives life and weight and significance. So there's a huge verge here on terms of how both cultures are looking at this color. So at the macro level, at the high level here, blue is stable, but red flips moral tone depending on where you're standing and what lens you're looking through this. Now, I actually am going to bring religion into this. When we were talking chapters 2 and 3, I discussed time and introduced for this arc the discussion of time as an actual villain in Love and Deepspace. Not Ever, not anybody else, but time itself, and discussed, depending on how you viewed time, what it meant for the story. And I discussed in Buddhistic tradition, and again, I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation, I'm so sorry, Mahakala in Buddhistic tradition was time, and he represented time in terms of the inevitable, that fear of the inevitability of time. There is no bargaining with it. It's overwhelming. It takes control. So I'm gonna bring religion back into this again and time into this discussion again in relation to the discussion of blue, red and blue. So as I mentioned, we've established in a broad cultural sense that blue tends to be stable, red tends to be charged, and depending on where you stand, red can mean danger or red can mean devotion. Now, I want to take religion and layer it on top of that. I'm not going to turn this into Sunday school. I want everybody to just be clear. I'm not going to try and turn this into Sunday school. But religion is tied to culture. So we get a lot of symbolism there, and we get a lot of significance there. And it brings in some layers that make these colors feel a little heavier. It also informs you in regards to what is considered sacred or scary, what's allowed, what's not allowed. So if you're a Western viewer, even if you're not religious, you've probably absorbed a lot of Abrahamic symbolism through art, movies, and just Western storytelling in general. I mean, it's even leaked into the Caleb and MC storyline with the Adam and Eve symbolism and the apple and the snake, and we'll get there later. So let's slow down and define here for a second what I mean by Abrahamic. One, because I'm not assuming anybody here has a religious degree. But I just want to be clear when discussing this, that when I say Abrahamic, I'm meaning all three. I mean Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They're related historically in the sense that they share a lot of narrative DNA, you know, one God, prophets, divine law, the idea that the universe has a moral order, and either humans can align with it or break it. And the reason that matters for the symbolism we're discussing here with red and blue is because these traditions tend to frame reality like this. The world has a correct structure, a right order, and suffering enters when humans break relationships with that order. You'll hear language like covenant or commandments or submission. And I want to define covenant very plainly here as a binding agreement between God and people. It's not a casual promise, it's a relationship with obligations. So when the relationship is broken, something has to repair it. Keep this in mind, gentle reminder, Raphael is a sea god. That's critical, that's crucial. Put a little pin in that pocket and keep it there. So this is the part where red enters the picture in the form of blood. In the Hebrew Bible, blood is not just gore. Blood is the source of life. Blood is the thing that signifies the cost of restoring order. And this is why sacrifice shows up so much more historically. Not because ancient people were just into violence, or because sacrifice is a symbolic structure that says that, you know, you broke something sacred, something must be offered to heal it. You know, suddenly I'm flashing to Full Metal Alchemist. You have to have equal, we're gonna make mom, we have to have equal weight. So red in this lens isn't just passion. Yeah, this convo is about Raph. Yeah, this is all about Raph and that final where the constant. Raphael is surrounded by this color scheme of red and blue, and I also found it very telling that the last image in Chapter 8, which is the end of the Under Deepspace arc that we just finished, the last thing they show you is that painting that Raphael is working on, that at the beginning in Chapter 1 is just solid blue, and then in the end, you have this giant swath of red now going through it. That's the last thing they end on. So there's a lot happening there from my perspective in terms of story analysis and significance. Especially in regards to Raphael and MC and their story and the character arc. What was I talking about? Where was I in my notes? Oh, yes, red and blood and the Hebrew Bible. Yes. Okay. So red in this lens, in terms of the Abrahamic tradition, isn't just passion like in pop culture, it's atonement. And it's red is the color of atonement. And atonement is one of those words people hear and kind of nod at without knowing what we're talking about. So atonement at its base is repair. It's making things right again. It's closing the gap between what is and what should be. And in Christian storytelling specifically, especially, this becomes a very intense narrative pattern. Something innocent suffers so that the world can be redeemed. That's the logic of Christ's blood. It's not just a tragedy, it's a mechanism. Blood becomes the currency of restoration. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down here in terms of Raphael and MC and sacrifice and atonement, and just we're getting there. Just stay with me, I promise. We're going full circle. So if you grow up, I think, in the Western style, if you grow up in a culture shaped by this concept, you're gonna internalize this idea that sometimes the world only gets saved when somebody pays a cost. Somebody bleeds, somebody becomes the offering. That's why in Western culture, red has that murky vibe. It's not just sexy and passion, it's dangerous, it's also sacrificial. Like the universe is hungry and red is what feeds it. That giant eye in the sky we keep seeing. Nikki, I hope I'm not giving you too many flashbacks right now. Okay, so blue and Abrahamic influenced art, and Nikki, you might recognize what I'm about to talk about and have some flashbacks to our fun little trip to an art exhibit recently. Blue in the Abrahamic influenced art is often the color of heaven and divine authority, purity, law, but not law like in like cops and societal, like render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's. This is law like in the cosmic order of things. Blue is the color that you wrap a holy figure in to say this person is aligned with the divine. This person belongs to something higher than personal desire, which is why if you look at Renaissance art, you will always see Mary, Mother Mary. She always has that blue shawl around her to signify her specifically. And I want to be very careful here because people hear Mary in blue and also tend to think it means softness, gentleness, and comfort. And sure, sometimes it's used that way, but symbolically, it's meant to be something sharper. It's meant to mean the acceptance of God's will, even when it hurts. It's meant to be a sign of being chosen. Mary's story is not, I want this, it's let it be done. I mean, she doesn't fight prophecy. She doesn't rewrite the narrative to prevent suffering. She carries the child knowing where that's going, that there's sacrifice involved. This is not a story that's going to end well. And that acceptance, her acceptance, becomes virtue. It becomes a holiness. So the blue cloak is basically a visual shorthand for obedience, alignment, and submission to the divine order. Okay? Remember that. So if you're looking through this lens, red is the blood that redeems, blue is the law that sanctifies the blood. Blue doesn't prevent sacrifice, blue frames it as meaningful. Okay, so just hold that, put it in your back pocket, hold on to that. Yes, thy will be done. Okay, so that's Western. Now let's add in the layer that is and pivot into Buddhism. Because again, we have to remember as a Western audience that we are reading a story written by a different culture. So they're coming at this from a different lens. And Buddhism comes at the human problem from a very different direction than the Abrahamic traditions that you find in Western culture. Buddhism isn't primarily about disobedience. It's not about you broke the rules. It's about suffering. Why it happens, why it repeats, and why even when you get what you want, you're still not satisfied for long. And Buddhism's diagnosis of the problem is attachment. Not attachment like loving your friends is bad, but attachment in the technical sense, meaning clinging, grabbing. The desperate insistence that something must stay the same while reality is fundamentally unstable. You love something, and instead of letting love be a relationship, it becomes a demand. It becomes, this can't end. It's a craving, which they refer to as tanha, Tanha. Again, sincerest apologies to anybody listening to this as I butcher pronunciation. So in this lens, red is the heat of desire and craving. Again, not evil, just human. There's no moral here. There's no moral judgment. But it is binding. It keeps you on the wheel. Because every time you cling, you reinforce the loop. Want becomes get. Get becomes fear of loss. Fear of loss becomes suffering. And then you grasp again. It sounds familiar, doesn't it? It's so it presents time as a hamster wheel. You don't get free by winning, you get free by releasing your grip on it. And blue in Buddhism is often connected to wisdom and vastness. So we're talking symbolically like sky, deep water, the sense of spaciousness where you can like feel something without being consumed by it. Blue is the mind that can witness without clinging to what it's witnessing. But it's not, don't mistake it for like a numbness. It's more like a clarity aspect. So Buddhism looks at red and says, that's the energy that keeps you trapped. It looks at blue and says, that's the spaciousness that lets you go. Now, here's the reason why I'm bringing this up and why I just walked you through all of that. Because once you understand those two lenses and have them as your toolbox, you realize that they both judge Raphael's refusal completely differently. The Abrahamic lens says that sometimes sacrifice is the mechanism that saves the world. Refusing it is rebellion against the divine order. The Buddhist lens says clinging is what keeps suffering repeating. Refusing to let go is exactly how you stay trapped. And Raphael, in this arc, in this iteration, is rejecting both solutions. He refuses to submit and he refuses to release. He chooses attachment. Because remember, the story of Raphael is that he is, I'm talking about blue as my avatar is nothing but blue. The story of Raphael and MC is that in order for Raphael to ascend as the sea god into his full power, he needs to make a sacrifice. He needs the heart of the most devoted follower, a human's devotion, a human's greed, a human's love is so pure and powerful that it could basically fuel a god. And so they fall in love. They form this attachment, this covenant together, this vow, this bond. And then once Raphael gets to the temple with MC and realizes what that sacrifice is, that it's not just MC loving him. He literally has to sacrifice her. He has to cut out her heart and feed it to the cause in order for Lemuria and his people and his civilization to thrive and prosper and carry on into the next age. In order for him to reach his full potential, it requires the sacrifice of MC, of her love, of her life. And he looks at all of that and says, fuck this shit, I'm out. He's not as cavalier. He's devastated by the choice. He's absolutely devastated about it. Make no mistake. Raphael is carrying a lot of guilt about this choice. But that's the heart of their story. It is a God it is a God who chooses to break covenant. And I think that's also critical because usually within storytelling, we find it is the mortal, the human who breaks the covenant. In this instance, it is the divine itself that says, no, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna complete this. I'm not having it. There has got to be a way for us to do what we need to do without this kind of sacrifice. Yes, Ms. Fandom, exactly. Basically, it's God not letting Jesus die for the world. It's like, oh wait, no, I changed my mind, don't want to do it. But to be fair to Rafayel, he didn't know until he got into the temple that that's the way that was going to go. But that's the heart. So he chooses attachment anyway, knowing the cost of all of this. He chooses attachment. And this is why I talk about time and color. And this is why I say time is the villain, because time is the thing that both systems, both cultures agree you can't ultimately out-muscle. One side says you have to obey it, one says you have to transcend it, and Rafayel says, no, I'm gonna rewrite it. And the story is basically asking, what does it cost to love like that? And that's why the final painting hits, because blue and red aren't just colors anymore. Blue is the vow and divine ocean and preservation. Red is the blood and the sacrifice and the moment that the universe wants payment. And Rafayel lets red exist in the frame and still steps away from becoming the one who spills it. Now, I keep referring to the time and the time discussion I had in the other video. And I know some of you are new to joining my stream, but what I was essentially discussing, let's bring this back directly to our time discussion, and discussing Chronos, Chronos, and Kronos, Cronus. They are Greek. Chronos, the CH one, is time itself, while Kronos, as I mentioned, is over time become related to time, ironically, but he was initially a Titan who devoured the gods to prevent his own inevitable downfall. So both instances, whether we're speaking specifically about Kronos, Chronos, time itself, or Kronos, the Titan, we get this representation of devouring. A linear time that is devouring, time that consumes what it creates, time that demands endings. Sacrifice is inevitable because time eats everything. And then on the other side, we have the Mahakala in the Buddhistic tradition, where time as dissolution, as transformation. So destruction is not a punishment, but just truth. There's no how do I say this? There's no machination happening in Mahakala. That's the difference between, say, the Greek representation and the Buddhistic representation. It's not, time does not have an agenda in Buddhistic tradition. It just is. And that's even more frightening, because something that has an agenda, something that is sentient, Chronos, something that is sentient, has motivations, you can fight that. But when you're dealing with something that just is, impermanence is just reality. It's not a tragedy. It's a process, it's a system, it's the ultimate bean counter in a way. So blue aligns with attempts to outlast time. So you're talking memory, preservation, delay, and then red aligns with moments when time demands payment, death, sacrifice, finality. So Raphael's conflict is not with fate, it's with temporal inevitability, essentially. He's trying to outrun it. So when you bring red and blue back from all this macro discussion of cultural significance, religious significance, and just bring it into Rafayel and MC themselves. Rafayel is blue coded. Obviously, we're talking ocean, we're talking sea god, we're talking eternity and vow and preservation and order. And then you have MC, who is associated with red, with the heart, with blood, with sacrifice, with fate. She is the price the universe demands, not just in Raphael's story, in all of them. She is the price. Raphael understands the cost. He just refuses every system that requires attachment to be destroyed to function. He will not obey. He will not let go. He will not complete the myth and the prophecy. So the final painting shows this. The blue remains, the red exists, Raphael steps away, and it's kind of this acknowledgement of the cost without enacting it. We're in this hold pattern right now with Raphael and with the story itself. So as we move forward, as we're setting up, because we're coming out of the first arc here, we're coming out of Under Deep Space, we are going to be heading into, let's close this here. We're heading into long-awaited revelry. So we're gearing up into Sylus's debut, our lovely little Onakinis leader here. My little dwagon. Next week we are gonna absolutely dive into this, into long-awaited revelry, but we need to acknowledge the setup that's happening narratively, that what Infold is trying to communicate to us with all these various spoken cues and exposition in the dialogue, but also visually. And we need to keep in mind this theme of time and the ongoing battle of which form of time is basically on deck here. Are we fighting time as in time and fate as in someone who has an agenda? Or are we fighting time and fate, the inevitable primal forces that have no feelings and are just doing their job and are just inevitable? You can't, time wins at the end. To make a supernatural reference, death is the last thing that lives and will reap God eventually. Like time is the last thing. It wears everybody down. So we have those two questions, and we have MC at the heart of this question about sacrifice and preservation of order. You see it in Zayne and the God of Annihilation and all those iterations. You see this with Xavier, who has gone back in time, is upheaving reality just to figure out how to avoid the death of MC as well as save his planet and his people. You see this in Raphael, as we've just discussed. Caleb is interesting. Caleb is a bit of an outlier, and I'm going to save a lot of my Caleb analysis for when we hit Homecoming Wings, because I want those chapters fresh in our mind when I actually break him down and discuss thematically what's happening there. But I want you to, when you're watching these memories, when you're doing the story, as we're looking at these drops, red and blue. Now, they're most prevalent with Raphael and with MC in their storyline, but they are repeated. They're back with Zayne again. Remember when he dropped when Zayne dropped, his first two main Stellas were red and blue. He's totally a part of this. Xavier has red and blue coding as well. These two colors are constantly at war within this story. Duty, obedience, sacrifice. Do you maintain the divine order? Do you rebel against it? And as I said last time, this game is less about which of these boys is your honey and more about picking your favorite form of rebellion. It's defiance. All of these stories are about defiance, with MC and Sylus being a unique twist because it isn't the male love interest who defies fate and time. It's MC. She's the one who looks at fate and goes, no, I'm not having this. I'm cursing his soul to immortality. I'm the only one who can give Sylus the true death. That's how this is gonna roll. That's how I feel. There's an inversion happening there that is really unique. And then you have Caleb himself, who also stands in a unique position where so far Caleb is not actually associated with anything divine or monstrous. Sylus is a fiend and a dragon. Zayne is the emissary, god of annihilation, master of fate. He's got divine works woven within him. You've got Rafayel, who's tied to the divine. Xavier's even tied to the divine with his mortality and Dark Knight and all of that. But Caleb has not yet been tied to the divine in any way. He's almost framed as the common man at this point, which is why I'm really, really interested to see where they take him for the third myth for him. I really want to know if they keep him in this trope of the everyday man that goes against the divine. Because even as an android, he's still, the core of him was human. Biotic, robotic, like a RoboCop, but the heart of him was human that got parts of him replaced like it's cyberpunk. Yes. Yeah, Stella colors. I mean, you look at the Stella colors and what they were initially launched with. It's actually kind of very interesting. But yes, so here we are. So here are our main things. These are our main struggles that are happening here. And that was probably a lot. And I hope I broke it down well. Honestly, I could go a whole lot deeper, but I'll probably, if I do go deeper into this, I think I'll make it a recorded video as opposed to a live stream. But I did want to make sure with the way this ended that we discussed this. I wanted to make sure we highlighted this. I wanted to make sure that we have this in our back pocket so that next week we're going to, as I said, we're going to go into long-awaited Revelry. At the moment, I am going to try and keep the stream at my usual time of 3 to 6. However, the last 2 weeks, and I don't know if it's because the weather has just been so horrific, but my internet and my power seems to be dropping right around the time everybody's coming home from work, and I don't want the stream to be interrupted like it was today or last week. I sincerely apologize for that, and for those of you who waited patiently for me to come back to finish today's stream, your patience and your support is truly appreciated. So I might, instead of 3 to 6, do 2 to 5. I will let everybody know. I'll put a post up on the channel's community board. So if you're not subscribed to Love and Chick Space yet, make sure you do. And if you're not subscribed to my solo YouTube channel, you can come hang out over there as well. Outside of lore dives and podcasting with my bestie, I do also stream on Thursdays and Saturdays. At the moment, I'm playing some narrative-heavy horror games and scaring the crap out of myself. This Thursday, we're finishing off, well, we might finish off, I'm not certain how much the game is left, but Still Wakes the Deep will be happening on Thursday from 6 to 9. And then Saturday is my Midnight Masochist stream, and I'm in the middle of the Quarry. So if you'd like to join from 10 to 1 a.m., these are all Pacific times, by the way. Feel free to come join my Thursday and Saturday squad. We have a good time. Mostly it's me screaming. As I am new to the horror genre, but I love story and character and world building, and horror is the one genre I really haven't dived into too much. So yeah, we're on this journey together. It's fun. People play cards and scare the crap out of me, and I start talking about Kafka and tentacles. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's a grand old time. So yeah, I hope to see you on Thursday or Saturday. So yeah, so Thursday is 6 to 9 p.m. Pacific. Saturday is 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Pacific. And then elsewise, I'll see you back here Tuesday next week. For the moment, 3 to 6 p.m. But as I said, I will post and let you know if I shift it to 2 to 5. But I will be back on Tuesday, one way or another. And we will get our Sylus on, everybody. So I hope you are ready. I hope you are prepared. Our boy is dropping, and you're gonna watch me lose my mind. As King and Miz saw today when we had the single line of Sylus, and I lost my shit. Hey, Nikki, Sylus is your bestie. That makes him our boy. Just because you don't want to bang him. Leave me alone. It's my harem. I will have my boys at separate timelines. I am faithful to all of them. But yes, so it's going to be a Sylus Tuesday. And I do believe, yeah, so it's only 2 chapters. So we'll be doing the whole arc. So we'll be doing Ambiguous Chaos, and we'll be doing Breakthrough. It's gonna be good times. It's gonna be good times. I'm gonna need a lot of water. Speaking of which, hydrate everybody. So yes. So thank you for coming back. Those of you who joined after the fact. Myths, if you're still there over in YouTube, thank you so much for joining the stream. I hope I did Rafayel justice for you. I love my fishy, so there's so much with Rafayel that could be discussed. And I hope you join us again for all y'all on the over there on YouTube and also over here in Twitch. So have a great night, everybody. I need to actually eat something, and then Nikki and I are going to go record the next episode of the podcast, which will go live this Thursday. So I hope you look forward to more of our shenanigans, in which I do everything possible to break Nikki and make her quit the podcast at least 3 times. Because we're going to be talking about Zayne's story. And probably some other things. So we will see. We will see. Either way. Thanks again. Much appreciation for all the support. Have a great night, everybody.